Devil in the Details by David Simmons. Anna Markham slept in her comfortable bed, deep asleep and temporarily unaware of the nagging fear she usually couldn't shake. Her bedroom was designed to be a magical room, a room any girl of 9 years old would love to have, but it was just the opposite to her. Her father, Christian Markham, had painstakingly turned an ordinary bedroom into an enchanted woodland scene, complete with a nightlight owl that sat on a large wooden dresser which doubled as a tree stump. The walls were painted with deer and flowers and trees, and the ceiling was a sky full of stars. The devil was in the details, and her dad went out of his way to build in elements that you would have to look for in order to see. If you looked closely at one of the trees, you would see a lizard, mostly obscured against the color of the bark. And hidden in the foliage of one of the larger trees was a green tree snake. The snake, although camouflaged well in the tree's leaves, popped once spotted, with the intricacy of his brushstrokes revealing scale after scale. It was as true a masterpiece as any great work of art. But Anna didn't like it. She said she heard noises when she tried to go to sleep. She described the noises as rustles, and said she noticed quick movement. Even when it was dark, she swore she saw shadows moving with swiftness around the room. And she also said that the air in the room was hot, even on the coldest of nights. Some nights, she was so frightened that the covers didn't lend any protection, and Anna would quietly lie down in the hallway outside of her room and go to sleep on the floor. But on this night, Anna hadn't been bothered by the sounds or the temperature and had fallen asleep as her dreams seduced her. And maybe that's how it was. Maybe her dreams had actually pulled herself inward. And thankfully, they were good dreams, dreams that fill one with contentment and rest. Her smile shone brightly as her dad reflected some of the flashlight beam off the wall, illuminating her precious face clearly and filling Christian with a warmness inside. It had been many weeks since Anna had cracked a smile in this room. He lovingly stared down at his beautiful daughter, melancholy that her 9th year was slipping by so quickly, and frustrated at the struggle this room had been lately. Christian had about decided that he should just paint over the walls with a nice soft pink, and go buy some cartoon character bed covers to throw on the bed. As proud as he was of his handiwork, it wasn't worth keeping if the one it was aimed to please was not pleased at all. Christian rose slowly from his knees and unhurriedly scanned the walls with the flashlight. A wry smile crossed his lips as Christian thought of him loving his own work and his daughter hating it. It was kind of poetic, and it made him love the room all the more. And then he heard it. He listened again and heard it again. It sounded like a rustle. Christian swung his body and the flashlight around and pointed the beam at the wall directly above his daughter's head. His stomach dropped to his knees. Fear caught in his mind like a spider with a trapped bug. He tried to rid himself of the fear, as a bug might try to wrestle itself free from a web, but he simply ended up struggling against it. There, spotlighted on the wall, was the face of Satan. This Satan had horns on its head, which twisted ram-like and snaked up the wall. It had a painted-on-the-wall look, but was animated with movement all the same. Its eyes were dark pools of pain, and Christian was forced to drink. There was no sound from the specter, but the sight of the apparition was enough to scare the hell out of Christian. And as quick as he had appeared, Satan was gone. And the guilt immediately hit Christian in his gut. He was the reason for his daughter's torment. He was the one who'd painted these scenes on the walls, and he was the one who had forgotten the most important detail of all. Christian stood frozen in his thoughts, thinking back on his previous life, the life of a good-for-nothing loser. A loser who had a daughter that had nothing to be proud of her dad for. And he thought of the day all of that had changed. Satan had been so inviting. He had laid quite a deal on the table. There was no soul for Christian to surrender. In fact, Satan gave him the ability to paint like a master in return for nothing. He had simply warned Christian that everything he paints would be used for evil. And in Christian's eagerness to please his daughter, He'd forgotten those words. The devil was truly in the details for both Christian and Anna. The duality of the interpretation is in itself a devilish thing, is it not? Either the details are too much, or the details are viewed with a lack of depth or understanding. Who can say when the devil is involved?